Why most people never invest their money and how to get unstuck. Welcome back to a new episode, the second episode of LG Mindset. I'm Luisa, I'm 18 years old, and I'm going to explain you why most people, most of my friends, most of my family, they never want to invest their money, even though you make a lot of money. And I'm going to explain you why. So I've got 2 years experiences in investing. I've studied, I'm also in a business school where I also study how to invest, trading and stuff like that. So I'm going to explain to you exactly why most people never invest their money. So most people don't really avoid investing because they don't want to build wealth. I think it's really because of it's more because they avoid it because investing feels like completely uncomfortable. And humans are very good at avoiding discomfort. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone who saves money every single month. They feel proud of it. They feel so responsible. But their money is just sitting there. And they tell themselves, well, at least I'm not losing money. And I've got money. But in reality, inflation is slowly reducing what money really can buy. So they are losing money and they do not even see this, And this is one of the first reasons why people really don't invest. They are confused. Doing nothing feels really safe, but it's not always the safest opinion. Another reason is fear of losing money, and this one is really deep, to be honest. For example, people imagine investing as I put my money in and one day it disappears. I don't know why people really feel like that or see this kind of way, but it's really not the case. So the thing is that they protect themselves by never starting. It creates a huge problem because you don't learn to drive by never touching a car. You don't learn to swim by staying on the side of the pool. And the thing is that you learn by starting small, making mistakes, and also improving and investing. Well, it works the same exact way. The first few months I remember when I started investing, I lost money. I lost a couple of euros, etc. because I was like, oh my gosh. Most losses, it really doesn't come from investing itself. They come from investing emotionally. For example, someone hears about an asset because everyone is talking about it. They buy when the price is already high and then the market drops. They panic and they sell and they say investing doesn't work. No. The real issue is it wasn't investing. It was decision making under emotion. So this is really important to understand what decision making under emotion is, because you're making a decision under the emotions, the emotion of fear. Another huge block is I don't earn enough to invest. Let me tell you something. I started investing with 200 or 300 euros. That's true. But every single week, I was just putting sometimes like 10 euros in it, I was just putting a little bit of money. Sometimes it was 20. Sometimes it was nothing. But I was really telling to myself, I need to invest at least a little bit of money. And even though if it's 10 euros or $10 or whatever you have, it is still investing and it is still good because your money will continue to work. Because the thing is that, I'm going to be honest with you, if you wait to feel rich before investing, you will probably never invest something. Investing, it's really not something you do after you have money. It's something that, it's one of the ways you build it. Someone who invests, for example, 50 or 100 a month consistently builds a habit. That's something I've built now. And someone who waits for a big amount builds excuses. Like I said, the biggest mistake, and I've also talked about it in the first episode, is that you do not need to invest 500 euros or 5,000 or 10,000. You don't need to do that. Really, no. And habits really matters a lot more than the amounts at the beginning. Another reason people don't invest is information overload. Oh my gosh, I've seen it so many times. Oh my gosh, they start through researching. That is good. But they watch videos, they read posts, they hear different opinions, and also from people who never invested in their lives. And one person says, oh my gosh, this is the best investment. For example, this is going to be me. Another says, that's so dangerous. But the person hasn't even tried. And another says, oh my gosh, it's too late. So they freeze and they're scared. And it's called analysis paralysis. So the thing is that the solution is not more information. You need to try, okay? Because someone is going to say the same thing for a car. Someone is going to say, oh my gosh, I failed my exam. It's so difficult to drive a car, etc. Like here in Belgium or in Luxembourg, it's really difficult. But someone else is going to say, oh my gosh, but it's so easy. For example, in America, I know to learn how to drive in America, it's much more easier compared to here. And that's true, okay? That's a fact. And the thing is that there are people who are going to say, oh my gosh, this is so easy. And other people are going to say the opposite. The thing is that you need to have your own experience, okay? And this is the same in every... Another reason is also a short-term thinking. So people expect fast results. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was exactly like that. I was like, oh my gosh, I really want fast results. I want to be like a billionaire when I invest. It's not the case, okay? You're not going to be a billionaire, that's for sure. But the thing is that with investments, with long-term investment, the thing is that you need to wait. You need to wait at least maybe 2 or 3 years. You're going to have a lot of money, even though you're starting like a few months, You're going to have money. That's true. But when I really say I want a lot of money, I want at least 500 or 600 or 700, like maybe per week. Like I said, people really expect fast results and they invest for a few months. They don't see big changes and they get discouraged. And I was like that, but I still continue to do it. And now I see really good results. But the thing is that, like I said, investing, it's really like patience and not impatience. Maybe you could think about, for example, going to the gym. You don't go for 2 weeks and then quit because you don't see a six-pack, No. You trust the process. Investing, it works the exact same way. Oh, and also another reason people stay stuck in is identity. They don't see themselves as investors. It's a little bit more rare, but it's true. They think that investors are so confident, smart, and experienced. But every investor starts as a beginner. I'm not that confident or that smart, but I still got experience, because I've learned a lot. And also one of my first book I've read when I was 13 or 14 was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it, like I said, it really changed completely my mind or how I thought about things. But yeah, just like I said, every investor really starts as a beginner. It's the same thing with gym. It's the same thing with, I don't know, building a website. You start as a beginner. It's the same thing in life, no one wakes up knowing how for example, the market works. No, this is really complicated also, learning how the market works. But the thing is that when you start learning, the thing is that you need to start learning things, that's it. And like I said, the difference, it's not really being intelligent, it's also the willingness to start, having this discipline to start, So now let's talk about how to get unstuck. First of all, stop trying to be perfect. You don't need the perfect strategy, you don't need the perfect timing, and also you don't need progress. The second, start small, okay? Small amounts reduces emotional pressure. If you start with maybe 50 euros per month or maybe 20 euros, who cares? At least you're starting. Then you will start also with less fear because you will also lose maybe a few cents, not more, okay? And the third one is think in years, not weeks, okay? When you are a long-term investor, it is normal when your money goes a little bit down because the market is basically correcting itself. It is normal, okay? And finally, separate learning from ego, okay? You will make mistakes because that is part of the process. It's the same thing. You will lose money. This is part of being a long investor. Because mistakes are not proof you're bad at investing. They're proof you're learning. Most people really never invest because they wait for confidence. But confidence is built after action, not before. You don't need to be fearless. You don't need to be, you need to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself this. If I do nothing for the next 10 years, where will I be financially? Okay, maybe it's really far away. Maybe you can do like 5 years, but ask yourself this question. What is going to happen in 5 years? What am I going to do? How am I going to be? What job am I going to do, you know? Because doing nothing is also a choice, and it has a cost also, doing nothing. So yeah, this season, like I said, it's not about telling you what to buy, but it's also about helping you think differently about money. Because once your mindset changes, your actions will really follow. Thank you so much for listening to Algae Mindset. This is season 4, episode 2, and I'm so glad to do this episode. If you got any ideas or any suggestions or something I need to change for my podcast, just tell me. If you want to participate, it is also possible. Even if it's per camera, it is possible. Bye! T'en as pas marre qu'on ne prenne pas au sérieux quand tu parles de tes galères? Ici, c'est no shame. Tout ce que t'oses pas dire, ici, on l'écoute et on le partage. Je m'appelle Louisa Jazar et ici, c'est le podcast sans filtre. Disponible sur Spotify, YouTube et partout où tu veux. Rejoins-nous.